Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I'm Erin and I'm here today with the creative design team showing you how to use one sketch in two different ways.
I am going to create a scrapbook layout with this fun fall collection called Gnomes for Autumns, and the sketch I'm using is from the creative design team 8.5 by 11 sketchbook. Now the creative design team has several sketchbooks. There's 8.5 by 11. There is a 6 by 8 kind of December daily inspired album, but it can be used for so much more. So I have a sketch here. I think this one was designed by Chelsea, and I love the circle in the center. There's the 5 photos. Again, this is 8.5 by 11. I am creating a 12 by 12. So I'm going to be making a 12 by 12 from this today. And it is a digital download, so you can leave it on your laptop or your computer, or you can print them and have them bound like I did with my December daily. Here is that book, and they just look so beautiful, all bound with the nice cover, and you get all of these sketches. So I will leave these linked in the description box below, and they come with the measurements. So they're labeled, they tell you exactly how to cut them. This is, I just have it folded over here, but the measurements are on the bottom there. But I'm going to be changing it up because, again, I'm turning it into a 12 by 12. Let me scoot these out of the way, and I'll bring in the Versamats. This is a double page layout, so I'm going to bring in both of them here. Now I've got all my base pieces here, so you'll notice this is a frame style layout, so they have just a small border around, and then there's this cardstock here, and then you can use pattern paper or cardstock for your circle. So what I have done is I have espresso, because that is a coordinating color in the Gnomes for Autumn collection, and then the white daisy is going to be, oops, I'm going to cut this way here, so that I know it's hard to see on the black background of the Versamat, but you've got that nice border of espresso just on the top, outside edge, and the bottom. For my circle, I used almond cardstock because I have a lot of it, and so I want to make some progress in getting that used up. But you could use toffee or acorn, or again, you could even use pattern paper in the center for your circle. I keep putting that the wrong way. So I have just like 1/8 of an inch margin around the outside there. And then we have this circle. I actually cut this at 11 1/4. So I cut on my Cricut 11 1/4 and then just cut it in half with my paper trimmer. So we've got half on each side. Obviously it would be a smaller circle if you're using the 8.5 by 11. Now you'll notice on the sketch her title's over here, so she's got 2 photos on the right, but I'm going to flip it and put my title on the left. So I'm going to flip the photo placement. These are just the gathered around the table photos from Thanksgiving, and I decided I have so many pictures from that day, I decided to kind of break them down into subjects. So these are just all of us around the table actually gathered together enjoying our Thanksgiving meal. So for this one, I'm going to have them a little bit overlapping. I'm going to keep the borders here, and then these two I want the same height, and then these two are going to be the same elevation as well. So on the 8.5 by 11, these photos pretty much go out to the edge. I have a ton of white space. I thought about using one of those pattern papers here, but it just detracted from the photos. So I opted for a solid, but I still want to bring in some pattern paper. And since we have more room on our 12 by 12 canvas, I cut down some strips to put on the bottom. So this is what is so fun about sketches. You use this, it helped me decide my photo placement and where my title is going to go. And then the rest I can just kind of go rogue and, add to it as, I see fit. So I really wanted to bring in these pattern papers. I do want them to stop at the brown, so I'm going to have to trim that down, but I just want to make sure that I'm happy with the placement first, and then I'll trim them down in case I need to trim them into skinnier strips too. So we'll just kind of roughly place those for now. I think that's going to look good. That just really highlights all that orange color in the photos from the trees. So pretty. So I can use the measurements on my Versamat too and make sure these are lined up all the way across. The T-square ruler's very helpful for that also, if you have one of those. So yeah, I think that's going to look really good. Just kind of anchors the layout. And then you can see we've got that lovely visual triangle of embellishments. So we're flipping it. So I'm going to have my title here. So I would have, if I'm following this sketch, I'd put my embellishments here, and then here, and then down here. So let's see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my edges inked up and then everything adhered down, so then we can just play with the embellishments. And while I do that, I'm going to tell you about some exciting news that we have to announce this week about the 31 days of Christmas cards.
The Creative Design Team's month-long annual 31 Days of Christmas Cards event is now open for early bird registration. I want you to come on over and join me along with the Creative Design Team, where you will have unlimited access to 31 exclusive pre-recorded video classes featuring brand new designs for Christmas cards. And not only do you get the Christmas cards, but you get a printable PDF handout for each class, showcasing the completed artwork as well as bonus cards, measurements, and assembly tips. We have 3 guest designers joining us this year, so that is a total of 10 talented, crafty ladies you will be learning from. It's going to be so much fun. And best of all, you can reference all of the video classes at your own pace through our private Facebook group. And then you'll even see more stunning artwork created by our talented members. If you're super excited about this and you cannot wait till October 1st, we have our 31 Days of Christmas Cards 2022 replay available at 40% off. So another 31 days of Christmas card ideas if you did not catch last year's classes. I hope you join us. All of the information is in the description box below. I'm super excited. Are you excited? If you're going, let me know in the comments down below. And imagine having a good jump start on your Christmas cards before November 1st. That in itself will be amazing. And they're going to be amazing cards too. I can promise you that. Now I have all of my base layers adhered down and the edges inked up. I'm going to bring back in my little photo collage here. Do I want that behind? Maybe the other one behind? No, we're going to go with this one behind. I have an idea for the title. I've got this stamp set that goes along with this special. It's the Gnomes for Autumn scrapbooking stamp. You can see there's Autumn Splendor, Gather with Grateful Hearts, and Happy Harvest. I'm thinking since we're gathered around the table for Thanksgiving, we'll use the Gather with Grateful Hearts. I'm going to flip my Versamat over so we have that nice little, oops, there's some tape there, that nice foam cushion. I've practiced several times on some scratch paper. I'm inking this up in Mocha ink, making sure there's no ink on my block because I do have a big block. And then we're going to stamp this right in this open spot above the photo. I really enjoy it when they mix 2 different fonts on the stamp sets, and I think it looks so good. This is going to fit this space perfectly, and yes, I love it. Let me flip this over and we can start working on our embellishments. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know I am a sucker for all things leaves. So I grabbed this one. This is the leaf line art stamp. It does come with the dies, and these are pretty good sized leaves. So what I'm going to do, let me just bump this out of the way. I have one of the oak leaves stamped, and then I'm going to grab a piece of scarlet cardstock here. I'm going to use the lighter side. And before we stamp this, I'm using a sanding block to sand this. I've been kind of on a kick lately where I'm just sanding my images. It just adds a lot of character without a lot of work. We're not coloring these leaves, we're stamping them on the cardstock, so the sanding just gives it a little something extra. I'm going to use a Mocha ink and then just stamp right over that sanded area, and then I'll go ahead and get this die cut. Now I have honey butter, acorn, and limeade, which are all coordinating colors. I'm going to make a whole bunch of leaves here. I didn't figure you wanted to watch me sanding and stamping all of those, but don't those look really neat? Now, the sketch artist had the embellishment cluster over here in this corner, so using that inspiration, I'm going to create this big, just kind of cluster of leaves, and I want to use each of the colors here. I'm going to rip that off because it was not sliding under my circle, it was running into adhesive, so I just kind of trimmed the tail off. So we've got some of the green, the scarlet, the acorn. Maybe let's bring in one of these smaller honey butter leaves. These are just so pretty. I really want to capture that feeling and essence of fall with these changing leaves, and we have a couple October Glory maples in our yard. They turn this stunning color of crimson red, so pretty. I do recommend you start with the largest leaves first. Now up top, I selected a few tinier leaves because I don't have as much real estate up in that section. So I'm not going to put like the big oak leaf or that very long leaf I have stamped here in the acorn color. We'll put those down here on the bottom because I have more room. Now, when I build my embellishment clusters, I like things under the photos and then over the photos. So these look a little bit off to me. So we're going to add a little something to finish these off.
Using the exact same stamp that we used for the title, the Gnomes for Autumn scrapbooking stamp, I'm going to stamp several sunflowers, the pumpkin, and this little pie. I think I will use all of these on this Thanksgiving layout.
Let me scooch this out of the way. To save a little time, I mounted all of those to the door of my Mini Misty. I've got white cardstock and then my intense black ink. Now, when you place those on your door of your Mini Misty, make sure that you have room to die cut so that there's space around them for the actual metal dies. Let's go ahead and stamp this down, see how it turns out. I want them nice and crisp. And we're missing a little spot there. Sometimes you just need to push down, but in this case, I do need to ink that up again. I didn't quite get great coverage the first time, so we'll just repeat the process here. Usually I only have to stamp it twice, but if you need to stamp it a third time, you certainly can.
Now, before you color, this does need time to completely dry, so just something to be mindful of before you start working with your alcohol markers. For my coloring, I have selected burnt orange for the pumpkin, and then for the sunflower, I've got gold brown shades and the gold yellow blend, and then I have the brown gray shade for the little tin of the pie pan. So we'll go ahead and start getting these colored in. It's completely dry.
Now I've sped this up quite a bit, but I am using the gold brown. I'm using the darker on the outside, then going in, and I thought about using muted brown, but spoiler alert, that doesn't look good. So I go back over that with the golden brown. Now I'm using golden yellow to color in the petals of my sunflower. I'm starting with the darkest color in towards the base of the petals, and then I'll get lighter as it works out. And I'm gonna I don't have a ton of room on this, so rather than go to the medium, I'm just gonna color in with the light and then blend in between with the medium color. So I'm not a coloring expert, but these are pretty user-friendly. And it just adds a lot of depth and shading to your images. The pumpkin, it's really going to stand out. So I'm excited for how the pumpkin's going to look. For the pumpkin, we're going to use burnt orange, and I'm going to add the shadowing with the darkest version of this color. Now, the artist has worked in some little sketch marks showing you where the shadows might be, but if you think of each one of these lines in the pumpkin, they're going to cast a shadow. So on the outside of the lines, I'm just using this dark color and then following those little sketch lines. And because the pumpkin is a round object, I'm kind of following those curves. Now I'm going to move to let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. I am using the medium color and then extending that, and you can see how I'm not using straight lines. I'm keeping it kind of an oval shape, which is going to help keep that shape of the pumpkin. Hopefully that's making sense. Now I'm going to go through with the lightest color and blend this in, and I'm going to leave the tiniest little highlight in the center there. When I hold that up, I think you'll be able to see that. And then just move back and forth between your colors until you have the desired effect. I'm using a little dull green to color in the vine, and then I will use muted brown to color in the pumpkin stem. Doesn't that look really pretty and dimensional? Now for the pie, I'm going to stick with that muted brown, and the bottom of the pie, this little crust, is going to be kind of where the shadow is falling. I'm going to blend that out just a little bit with the medium and then color in the crust with the lightest, and we have a nice golden crust. So this one here is the brown gray, and I'm using that for my pie pan. Now I'm just imagining a metal pie pan, but I guess you could make it any color, right? Ceramic pie baking dish or even clear. So again, just using the lightest in the center with a little dark underneath the pie crust, and we are done. I went ahead and colored that smaller sunflower. Don't those look really neat? I will go ahead and use the coordinating dies and get all of those die cut out. So we have our little shapes to embellish with. Now, something I like to do with these sunflowers is add a little bit of liquid glass to the center. It adds a really nice touch. It dries, it goes on kind of cloudy. It's easy to use. Just squeeze a little out, push it around with that nozzle. It'll be a little cloudy until it dries. This does need probably 20 minutes to be completely dry, but doesn't that look good? The one on top is a little more dry than the one on the bottom. bottom. And let me just put my Versamat back out here. We can play with these sunflowers we created. So this is the part that's going to go over the top. So the leaves are coming out from underneath, and then these sunflowers kind of bring it all together. And then we'll repeat that. We've got the larger and the smaller sunflower, and then maybe we'll just use the one tiny one up top, maybe. Let me think on that one. I still have my pumpkin and the pie that I want to use. I think these are so cute. I also have several word stickers from the coordinating sticker sheet. They say piles of smiles, happy harvest, and so blessed. I like the little red one up here. We could put this one over here. That one kind of has the flag on the left-hand side, so I think it works a little better over here. Maybe we'll just put that there for now. I cut this tag from the coordinating mix-in collections, and I've been trying to use it on the last 3 layouts. So let's see if we can use it on today's. Whenever I have a bunch of small embellishments, I kind of like to ground them with a more solid shape like this tag. So let's see how this looks with the pumpkin and the little pie over the top of the tag. I do think that is helping them kind of stand out a little bit more. And then we can put our Happy Harvest sticker. Actually, I don't want to cover up the hole, so I'm going to bump that up just a little bit more so we have room for the sticker. And then I can add some twine to the tag top here in just a moment. Now, no layout is complete without a little controlled splatter, right? So I have one of my splatter stamps. This one's from Perfectly Imperfect Patterns. I'm using some Toffee ink, and we're just going to add a little splatter detail around each of our embellishment clusters. This is a Thanksgiving themed layout, so I went through my fall stamps and I found this one. It's called Happy Turkey Day. I am very sorry this one is no longer available, but this is my layout, and I love to use my stamps and utilize my stash, and hopefully it will give you ideas for things that you may have in your own stash that are similar you can use. This stamp here says skip to the pie. I'm stamping that in Mocha ink, and then over here it says feast mode. Just some fun word stamps to help capture that Thanksgiving vibe. Now I will add some journaling to this, so stay tuned to the very end. You'll see the journaling. But doesn't the centers on those daisies look so good with the liquid glass? And then there's a little close-up of the splatter and the leaves and my beautiful family. Love it. I do end up putting the journaling on the bottom right corner, so hang tight and I'll show you that in a moment.
For our card, I'm going to use this half of the sketch. So we have the circle, and then there's our rectangles here and a little embellishment. So what I'm going to do is we're making an A2 size card, and I have a card base from the white cards and envelopes. These are pre-scored, which make it really nice and convenient. I've already gone ahead and inked up the image, or all the paper layers, and I'm just sticking with the same papers that I created the layout from, just to show you how versatile the products can be. So let's go ahead. I like to cut it so we have that white border around the outside. So my almond cardstock panel is 4 by 5 1/4. That is crooked, so I'm gonna lift that up and fix it because it's obvious to me. So this little Cricut spatula has got to be the most handiest tool. So we'll just lift that up and try that one more time there. It's much easier when you can get your head over the top of it. But yeah, that looks better. There we go. Okay, then we'll just adhere our circles. So I cut half of a circle. That would have been a 4.5 inch circle. We'll just get this lined up just like we have on our sketch there. So right about here. And then this was a scrap, so I kind of just went with it. This is 2 1/4 by 3. This is going to represent the square, the 4 by 6 square on the sketch. That's what this is representing, but just to have it look a little more balanced, we're going to hang that off the edge of the circle. And then I went ahead and stamped a thanks for everything sentiment. That is going to sit right about there. You can pop this up on foam tape. Actually, I'm going to use just a little bit of thin 3D foam here. I'll just cut that with my microtip scissors. These are non-stick with the dark blade. The thin 3D foam is really nice for cards because it's not too bulky and very easy to put through the mail without any complaints from the post office. So we'll put that right about there. So that is representing this piece here. And then I have those sunflowers that we are going to use for embellishments. So the embellishments are on the top here in the sketch, but we're just gonna kind of flip that and put those on the bottom. Sticking to my finger there. Cut a couple leaves. So we're just gonna frame this in a little bit here, and then maybe we can put this one down coming out the bottom there. That looks cute.
Keeping with the style of the layout, I'm going to add a little bit of the controlled splatter stamping. We'll do a little bit down here coming out from underneath these sunflowers, and then maybe here, and let's go for 3 different areas. Let's make this one a little bit bigger. I like it. Now I can go ahead and get those embellishments tucked into place. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. It is handy to grab your reverse tweezers to add these tinier little images. And just get your fingers out of the way so you can see. So I do recommend having a pair of tweezers in your craft room. Now, since I popped up that sentiment, I'm gluing the top half of that, and I'll just sneak in a little bit of that foam tape towards the bottom. And then this one, I think we can just kind of, let me cut off a piece of foam there. Just tap it right down on the bottom, and then I'll glue the top to that way it's all on one level. Originally, I started card making to use up my scraps left over from scrapbooking, and what better way? You've just created a scrapbook layout. Use your scrapbook page to inspire your card layout, and all of your goodies are already out. Don't throw those little scraps away. Make a card just like this. I think this is a great example of how easy that can be. This looks just like the sketch. We've just reversed a few things. Let me bring back in that scrapbook layout. You can see I added the journaling using Avery Clear label tape on the lower right. And then I did add a little bit more stamping. It says Thanksgiving Memories down on the bottom of the circle there. Did you see Andrea's video yesterday where she created a double page layout and then used the same sketch to create a card? I've got it right here on the right in the Creative Design Team playlist. So if you're looking for more inspiration, definitely check that out and check back because there'll be a new video each day this week. Thanks for watching.